Hi and welcome to High on Coding. I'm your host Mohammad Azam, and in this particular video I'm going to show you how you can create your own custom validation attribute for an ASP.NET MVC application using data annotations. If you haven't checked out the previous video which introduces data annotations, then I highly recommend that you do so, because that will give you a clear idea what data annotations is all about. So let me run the page first, okay? And so we have a registration page. We go to that page, home/register. So this is a very simple page. It takes a first name, it takes a last name, and it takes a date of birth. And if I say register, if I just click on the registration button, it just says that the first name is required, last name is required, and also the date of birth is required. But there's one other condition for date of birth, that you must be at least 18 years or older to register for this website or to register. So if I type it over here, anything, and I say register, and if I just type some alphabets over here, it's going to do that conversion where it's not really a date of birth, so it's like a casting failed. And I can try to type something else like 02/09/1998, and the current year is, by the way, 2010. So if I say register, you'll see that there is a problem because 1998, we're not at that particular mark that where this user is 18 years old, or at least 18 years old. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to implement a custom data annotation or a validation attribute that will allow us to validate against this particular criteria, which is that the user must be at least 18 years or older to register. So let's go over there. I have a registration view model, and the first name, last name, and as the date of birth is also all of them have this required attribute, which is the one of the attributes provided by the Microsoft Data Annotations library. And in order to create our age attribute, all I need to do is to add a new class, and I'm going to call it age attribute. Okay, now that particular attribute must derive from validation attribute, and that's going to implement that. It only has one method, which is valid, which will determine that if the particular condition is valid or not. I'm going to have one integer over here and max age. Okay, and so this particular max age will be the maximum age that is allowed for this particular age criteria. Okay, and I can also change it to 18, I can change it to 26, I can do whatever I want. So let's go and implement this. I'm going to say max age, pass through the constructor max age equal to max age. Now over here what we need to do is, first of all, we're not really checking, we're not really concerned about what is passed is null or not. So if value is equal to null, I am going to return a true value. The reason I'm doing that is, if you go and see in the registration model, we already have a required attribute placed on the date of birth. So user cannot really get away by typing empty string or by typing like null, right? So we're not really checking for that. So let's go over here, and I'm going to say over here var date of birth equal to value, and I'm going to just convert it to date time. Of course you can add multiple things over here, the conversion fail and all that stuff. And I would say age equal to, and age will be a double, date time dot now dot subtract, and I'm going to subtract the date of birth that has been passed by the user. Now I will also say total days divided by 365, or if you're considering leap year, I think it will be 365.25. okay, age. Okay, now I can say if age is greater, or if actually it's less than the max age, then I'm going to say return false. Sorry, you cannot really register. Your age is less than max age, and max age, which in this case will be 18 years old. Now I can say return true over here if you are, if your age is actually greater than or equal to max age. Now I'm going to go over here and decorate with my age attribute. So here's my age attribute. I'm going to say max age. I'm going to pass 18, and error message is you are not old enough to register. Okay, so that will be the error that will be displayed. Now the errors are displayed using the validation summary control. Okay, and that's pretty simple, I guess. Let's go over here and refresh the page. So let's go over here, and I'm going to just not type anything, and let's see what happens. So the required field validator is actually fired for the date of birth, and it's saying date of birth is required. Now if I have also checked in the age, so if I go over here and in the age attribute, and if I have returned false, if the person is, let me actually show you what I'm talking about. So if I go over here and refresh the page, and I will say register, you will see that it's also firing this particular validation, which is like you are not old enough to register. But hey, I didn't even enter anything, right? So this validation should only fire when the thing that you're passing is not really null. Because if you're passing null, it is going to handle automatically by the required attribute, right? So you don't really have to do it twice. Let's go again, refresh it. Now I'm going to say, okay, name. So this is my own, so this is my birthday. So I'm just going to say, what is it, 1981. I'm going to say register. You will see that, okay, it allowed me to register because I am older than 18 years old. Now if I go over here and if I say 1998, I'm going to say register, and here we go. So it's fired, the validation is fired and saying, hey, you're not allowed to register for the website, you're not older than 18 years old or anything like that, right? So that's pretty much it. You can create your own custom validations just by inheriting from the validation attribute, and by default Microsoft provides like 4 or 5 types of validation attributes, but as you see, implementing your own validation attribute is not that hard, and you can actually do so easily. One last note, if you do not visit High on Coding, I highly recommend that you do so. There are quite a number of articles, videos, podcasts hosted over there. I just uploaded one more podcast which is about iPad, eStudy application, and Rake. And if you do visit, how about some donations? Each video takes about 30 to 60 minutes to create, and then additional time for conversion to HD quality. So I really appreciate if you can open your heart and donate something to High on Coding. This will allow us to keep this kind of quality of work doing. I mean, we can just hire more people to write articles for us if we have some donation, if we have some cash flow. That's pretty much it. I hope you like this video, and thank you very much. Stay tuned for more videos on High on Coding.